Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and what a delight to have back in the studio with us, pastor, counselor, author.
Oh, not quite.
Well, sort of. Nice guy. Let's put it that way. Bill Gallagher is with us today. He heads up TeamWorks, and we want to finish our discussion that we had with him a couple of weeks ago about blended families. But before we do that, Bill, good to see you again.
Thank you.
You're actually doing a workshop on this coming up Saturday.
This Saturday, the Blended Family Workshop from 9 till noon at Trail Christian Fellowship.
All right.
It should be a great time. We have childcare, we have refreshments. It's $25 if they have it. If not, they can just come for free. We have a scholarship.
Okay.
Highly recommended, Perry. Highly recommended.
Now, whether you are about to blend families, you are the honeymoon's over, and you're in a blended family, or you got some issues concerning blended families and all those dynamics, let me encourage you to be there coming up this Saturday. By the way, it's going to be raining. I couldn't think of anything better to do. Go indoors, go to a seminar that's going to help you with your family.
We're in a fireside room. We'll have a fireplace going. It's very, very comfortable. Interesting, Perry, Ron Deal, who's authored the book, The Smart Step Family, that James Dobson's ministry emphasizes. Yeah. We're going to give that book away at the end of the show, but he quotes something very fascinating. He says about 75% of couples that are going to blend a family know that there will be some adjustments. Only 50% of them actually talk about a parenting plan.
Okay.
So we'll do all that when we're there.
Here's the picture of the book. We're going to give this away coming up at the end of the program. It's called The Smart Step Family, Steps to Healthy Families. And so we're going to give that away towards the end of our time together with Bill here. Well, Bill, this is a big topic, and I do know that too many people just assume things will be okay, and that kids are resilient. They'll just blend in and mix well, and it was as if the divorce never happened.
Yeah, that is an assumption. As a matter of fact, many years ago, I was doing a program here on theDove, and you remember Maxine Marcellini?
Yes.
She wrote a book called The Blended Family,
right.
And I was interviewing her that morning. Yeah. And I told her that I was dating a woman, and that, you know, she had 2 children, I had 3, and I said, you know, we're going to be getting engaged, and she said, you should wait till the children are gone. And I go, no, Maxine, the children get along great. She goes, they all get along great before you get married. Yeah. And so there's expectations and things we're not ready for. It's like one of my professors in Bible college, he said, love is blind, but marriage is an eye-opener, which we all agree with. I would like to say love is blind, but the blended family is the eye-opener.
Really?
Very few people are not prepared for it.
All right, so you didn't heed the advice.
I didn't heed the advice, and she was spot on, but it's been a great journey. We have a great family. God powerfully worked through our lives, still is. So this morning I thought I'd talk about the realities of it and then the rewards of it at the end of the program.
Well, let's get into it. Is there any biblical examples of blended families?
Well, yes, of course, Jesus himself was in a blended family. He was adopted by his father, Joseph, and all of his siblings were half brothers and sisters.
Never thought of it that way.
Yeah, never thought of it that way. But what that tells me is that, you know, God, that's where God placed him, obviously. Probably the most sterling example, though, of a blended family is Joseph's family in the book of Genesis. He had 10 half-brothers. Wow. A lot of mistakes that his father made, which is pretty common in a blended family today, such as favoring his 2 youngest sons, Benjamin and Joseph, which set them up for a lot of stress and failure. His brothers hated him. Now, Joseph didn't do himself any favors at the young age of 17 by, I think, flaunting his coat of many colors. But still, there was stress, a lot of stress there, because in that case, Joseph's biological parent, well, he was everybody's father, but different mothers, showed favoritism, which is common in a blended family.
All right, so if people are about ready to blend, let's talk about that bunch just for a moment. What are some of the expectations?
Well, I think there's a lot of expectations that we have that don't come to fruition right away. A lot of couples expect, as I kind of alluded to already, that everybody will get along as good after marriage than they did before marriage. Mm-hmm. That's not accurate. It happens in time, but obviously, you know, when you live together, now you're under a step-parent's rules. It's a lot different than courtship.
Yeah.
A lot different than courtship. Another expectation that couples have is that they feel that their marriage will be the priority. Not so. As I said last time, sometimes the marriage is the priority, sometimes the children are the priority. It's not as clean as the first marriage. Okay. Another one is that they will always put the wishes of their spouse before their child.
Really?
I mean, we did that when we dated, of course. No, not exactly. Okay. Not exactly. And another one will be that they will be embraced with open arms by the new stepchild. And sometimes that happens, especially if they're really, really young. More times than not, that can take years.
Okay, let me give you a couple of other scenarios here. There is the experience that you yourself went through. You still had children at home, so did Jen, so you had those issues. But what about a couple later on in life? I've had to deal with this, where the children are grown and gone, and because the death of one spouse or whatever, and so these two people come together. They're not blending children together, at least under the same roof.
Yes.
But they are coming together, and for the most part, the parents or the children might think this is a good deal because mom or dad's not going to be alone.
Yes.
But that's not really not my mom, not really not my dad.
That is. I'm glad you brought that up, because actually this would also take into consideration a widow or widower that's getting remarried with their set of family, of course. Yeah. And you know, it happens later in life. Many men especially just cannot deal with the loneliness. They don't have all the friends, they don't have all the hobbies, so frequently men
marry much quicker
than a widowed woman. And I also, in pastoral counseling, have found a lot of adult children that love the Lord whose dad has moved too quickly, and now dad expects them to have the same fervor, the same loyalty, the same excitement about his new wife, their stepmother, and his family, and they do not. Matter of fact, frequently they feel a little violated, especially if it's too quickly, because mom is mom. Yeah. So even that presents some challenges, because families have different holiday traditions. Right. Families have different styles of how they treat one another and work out conflict, which happens in all marriages, of course. So it is a challenge. So they're invited too. Oh, but yeah, and I just
very much so. I wanted to point that out. Maybe you were in that scenario, or you're about to enter into that situation. This seminar coming up Saturday would be great for you. By the way, it's from 9 until noon at Trail Christian Fellowship. I would call out there. There is a $25 fee per person. However, they have a scholarship fund if you can't afford that. I just can't think of anything better to do if you're in this scenario of blending families. You need to get some support and assistance and help and all of this. All right, let me take a break here, Bill, but before we come back, or when we come back, what about, is there a time frame that normally takes to blend a family, you know?
Well, let me put it this way. Ron Deal in this book, The Smart Step Family, says that for an average blended family.
Okay, don't answer the question yet.
Oh, this is for later? Well, hey, that's a good move. People thinking about this.
Yeah. All right. So maybe you are about to, you're in it. How long does it take? Is there a magic number? You've been in this now a couple of years and you're going, oh man, what did I get myself into? By the way, we're going to give away a copy of this book called The Smart Step Family coming up a little bit later on as well. Let me take a quick break. We'll be right back with Bill Gallagher.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, theDove.us.
Okay, we're back with Bill Gallagher. We're talking about blended families, and don't forget, if you're in this situation, you may want to take seriously attending the seminar coming up Saturday out at Trail Christian Fellowship, and it'll be from 9 until noon, and it's $25. But if you don't have that, they have a scholarship fund. Don't let this opportunity slide by. You will learn a lot, and you'll get a lot of tools. All right, Bill, the big question is there a magic time that it takes to blend families?
Yeah, the magic time is long.
Okay.
Okay, Ron Deal in his book, The Smart Step Family, says that for a family to blend, and when he talks about blend in this particular concept, it's to actually feel completely comfortable as if this is the family you've always been in.
Oh, my stars.
7 years.
7 years.
I got a couple of examples. Jenny's daughter, I call her my daughter too now. It took me a long time to get to that point rather than my stepdaughter, but my daughter, Emily, Jenny's biological daughter. It took her 6 years.
Call you Dad?
Well, no, never call me Dad, and that was fine. But for the longest time when we were going to bed, she'd come into our room and say, "Good night, Mom." And she'd leave, and I'd say, "What am I, chopped liver?" She just said good night to Mom. I'm laying right next to her. That went on for 6 years.
I never thought of that.
Finally,
this is so confusing.
Finally, on the 6th year, she started saying good night and I love you guys. And, you know, we give high fives to one another. It took 6 years. And then just yesterday, this took about 10 years. Just yesterday, she's in Yosemite right now, called me, didn't call her mom. She called me and said, this is what we're going to do now. And she ended the conversation by I love you, I love you. It takes time to get that sense of bonding, a lot of time and a lot of work. But when it happens, it is so rewarding. You go, thank you, Jesus. So rewarding.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I mean, you're bringing up things that would obviously be there you don't think about, you know.
Well, here's another one you don't think about. How do you answer your voicemail now? Is this the Gallagher home? Well, not really. We found out really quick that didn't work as well because Jenny's daughter's last name was Green. She lives there too. Matter of fact, she lives there longer than my son does. So we had to change it from you've reached the Gallagher home to you've reached the home of Bill, Jenny, Joe. And then she took our dog. We had a beloved dog, which was a good move. When we brought our family together, we thought we need something common we can begin with. And we bought a 105-pound American Bulldog, and it really brought us together. It was one of the smartest things we've done.
Really?
That was our Bulldog, yes. But Emily, Jenny's daughter, took the Bulldog to the vet one day, and his name was Buddy. And when they called him, they said, Buddy Gallagher. She goes, he's not Buddy Gallagher. He's Buddy Green. These things we never think of. But they're very important to kids especially.
Okay, now let me ask you this. Where does the ex-spouse come into this? Because sometimes these separations and divorces are quite contentious. They're not easy. There's a lot of emotions that got you up to the point where the marriage fell apart. And yet you got kids split between the two. How important is it that you have some kind of a civil relationship with your former spouse?
Incredibly important. You know, and we have to consider that you pretty much have a couple of wounded, broken families that we're talking about here, especially if the people that just got married were both divorced. We're talking about 4 broken families. As far as the ex-spouse, I have real wise advice for the step-parent especially. Encourage a relationship with that stepchild and their other parent. Don't be threatened by it. Don't ever badmouth them. Jenny did some classy stuff in the earlier years. She would have my son when he was on our parenting time. She would take my son Joe to the mall to buy his mother a Valentine's gift. She would say, you need to do this for your mother. That is such wisdom. So, you know, being civil is about as good as it gets. It's very, very important. You will always lose if you badmouth their other parent.
Yeah.
Always.
Always. All right, the other thing is, help me dispel a myth that kids get over it. The loss of one parent, or I say the loss, or the loss of the nuclear family is replaced now with another family. I've counseled a lot of couples that have gone through, oh, the kids are resilient, they'll get over it.
That's the most ignorant reply a person can give.
Yeah.
You know, they can go on and have productive lives, of course, and be healed, and there's some definite benefits to even having a larger family now, but it takes years to get there. The kids, of course, never quite get over it. I mean, my daughter, I was talking about my oldest daughter, 33-year-old Christina, has given me three of my 5 grandchildren, lives in Eugene. She's a marathon runner. And the last marathon she ran in Eugene, she said to me, you know, as much as I adore Jenny, my wife, her stepmother, and she's fond also of my ex-wife's husband, her other stepfather, I just want one event where only my mom and dad are there.
She still wants that.
33 years old. Yeah, it's been 14 years.
So what is that saying?
Well, that tells me that a child has still yet a bond and a need for the approval from both her parents. She just wanted to cross the finish line one time.
And have them both there.
With only her mother and father there. And then, of course, you know, my heart broke when she told me, she goes, Dad, I don't mean to hurt. You know how much I love Jenny. It's just inside of me. That never goes away.
Okay. Wow. Boy, that spars a gazillion questions. I don't have time to go there. But I think what I'm hearing you say is that love can be blind, and you find this other person, and you want to accelerate the relationship, but there are children involved.
Yes.
What are you saying? What would you say to this couple that's now, it's inevitable we're going to get married?
Yes.
Now, can you control yourself up until that time with one thing in mind, and that's the children?
Yeah, you know, Dr. Laura, you know Dr. Laura? Great, she's a physiologist, she's got great counsel, she's quite blunt and, you know, type A. She says over and over and over again, probably every program she has, wait till the children are gone. Now, I used to get upset when I heard that because I'm now in love with Jenny and we're going to blend families. About a year or two after we got married, we said, we think we agree with Dr. Laura. But obviously, the Lord is in control of our life. He's in control of our families. If the Lord wants us to be in a blended family like he did Joseph and Jesus, he's going to lead us to do it.
Okay, so that was my next question. Where does God come into all of this? Because you may be blending kids. The children's version of a godly family has been rearranged. You may be blending faith or styles or backgrounds here. Where does that come into play?
Well, I think that's true with any marriage, right?
Right.
People come in with their own religious and spiritual background, and so that's probably a challenge no matter what. That actually, it's interesting you say that because, hello, now the children have to go to 2 youth groups. Now they have to go to 2 churches, especially if it's a 50% split and you have them every other weekend. It is a challenge. It is a challenge.
Something that should be talked about up front?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
you know,
but first the couple should square it away, right?
Well, I think that's why they need to talk about it. I think they need premarital counseling. Now, let me ask you, I know you're a pilot, yes?
Yeah.
How many hours of training do you need to do to be certified?
Well, it depends on what rating you're going for, but I think the minimum now is 40 or 50 before you get your private license.
Okay, 40 or 50 before your private license. You know, and I understand like electricians or plumbers, they have to have like 3,000 hours before they can become a journeyman.
Right.
Most important institution on the planet is marriage, church and the marriage. And there is little to no preparation. Yet we'll prepare for these vocations hours, thousands. Doesn't make sense.
Well, I find myself, I do a lot of weddings, but I don't want to do marital counseling anymore. because it requires more time than I can give it. And if you're going to be honest to the couple, and I tell them this, you need to really suspend everything until you've gone through a comprehensive premarital counseling, take the test that you
Personality profile, yes.
Yeah, I think that is very important.
It's spot on. Personality differences, I think, trump gender differences and even background in history. I'm going to call it 60% of stress in any marriage, first time, second time, it doesn't matter, is personality differences.
What I don't want people to take away from this is to scare them away from what they're feeling in their heart, and maybe they actually believe that God has brought this other person into your life.
Yes.
And this is God's will. There's got to be some upside to all this.
There's a lot of upside to it. I mean, that's why I do this. I'm in a blended family, have been for 11 and a half years, have a deeper love and relationship with my wife today than I did when we started. One of the upsides is that there's great reward when you finally see the evolution of your stepchildren saying, like my daughter said last night, my stepdaughter last night, I love you, Bill. It's like it was worth it all, kind of thing. And then the, you know, the growth of the family. So for example, my daughter, my stepdaughter, Emily, she takes care of my daughter's children when she was going to U of O in Eugene. She got involved in her family. My granddaughters loved her. She did the same with my son and his family in Portland. She's staying this evening with some friends of hers with my sister in San Francisco. So one of the wonderful things is now you've produced more family members, and if they all get along, that is a wonderful thing. The other thing is, I think the blended family or second marriage is God's giving us another chance to model marriage the right way this time.
Okay.
And that's huge, because if you think about it, all of these children have come from divorces, unless someone died, but they're coming from divorces. Now they need an opportunity to see what a healthy marriage looks like. That's another blessing. Plus, just to see God's gracious hand change people's lives. I'm pro-blended family. It's just that it's foolish to not consider the realities first.
So, are you and Jenny finally empty nesters?
We've been empty nesters for quite a while, and we're probably some of the happiest empty nesters you've ever seen in your life. So we love it. We love it. Yeah, it's a good thing.
We're through that part. Huh?
Had 5 teenagers at one point. Not in the same house, but I've been through 5 teenagers.
And you know wonder you turn gray fast.
I turn gray fast. I still have joy in my heart. I love them all.
All right, so why should somebody come to this Saturday? I mean, they think, well, we just don't have those problems. We're working on it. We kind of got an understanding. I mean, that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make.
They need tools to do it right. They do not want to do a do-over. They don't want to go through divorce again. They need tools to do it right. They need to model what a healthy marriage looks like this time. They need practical things. In a blended family, some people, you know, they're so torn between their spouse and their children that they can stay stuck for years. They need tools. They need practical suggestions. They need to hear from other couples that have the same stresses. They need to be informed.
Well, I tell you, folks, we just scratched the surface. There are 5 million questions that come from all of this. You know, discipline's an issue, finances are issues, futures. I mean, all these things are issues. And by the way, one other quick one here is you made mention that one of the financial advisors told you that if you blend families, as far as inheritance and estates are concerned, do nothing for how long?
5 years. And we had a Christian attorney, and I had a living trust, and my wife did as well, living trust. And we go, now we're blending families. What do we do? Because I had it nice, neat package for my kids, and she was, of course, wanting to help her children in the years to come. He said, do nothing for 5 years.
Okay.
Keep your living trust separated. And actually, they're still separated. But in about 5 years, things change. You know, when I first got married, I adored Jenny, but those are my kids.
Yeah.
I've been saving. My older kids were 18 and 19. And I've been saving for years. So the thought of just giving that away just was very foreign to me. I did not like it at all. But around year 5, I thought, you know what? Let's do what Jim said. And then we covered our children on our life insurance plans and made each other the executor a good fit. Great fit.
Good advice. All right, Saturday, 9 until noon at Trail Christian Fellowship. I would highly recommend that you register. You can call 878-3501. Is that your number?
That's Trail's phone number.
Okay, 878-541-878-3501, and get registered. It's $25. If you don't have that, they have a scholarship fund. And we're going to give away this book. Tell us about this book real quick again.
Ron Deal, I found out about this book before we got married, and we read it together, Jenny and I, before we blended our families. This is the book that James Dobson's ministry was emphasizing and focusing and recommending 12 years ago.
Okay.
And he's out there. It's probably one of the better books on blending families. So I get some of my ideas from that book in my workshop, but we're going to give that away today.
All right, so caller number 7 at 541-776-5368. 541-776-5368. Caller number 7 gets this. Come back, will you?
I would love to come back.
We have
Thanks,
more
Terry.
things to talk about. All right, we'll be right back.